guests are in town to help tell a very important story, one of drama, discovery, and hope. Joining me is D Magazine Arts editor Peter Simic, along with the filmmakers for Decoding, Annie Parker. And Annie Parker herself is here with us. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Very much.
Great to be here. Great to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Welcome to Dallas. I know you guys have been touring the country with this film. You said that you're exhausted, right? You can't wait until this process is kind of over, right?
I am exhausted. I'm looking forward to Dallas, which is the next city we're going to.
Well,
so.
you're in Dallas already. Look, can I officially welcome you?
Thank you so much. Fantastic.
That's how exhausted they are from this process. So tell us, I mean, once you have a film like this, you do have to tour all the major cities in order to promote it, correct? And so this is number what on the stop?
This is number 3. We premiered in New York. How long ago was it?
Last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday, and then it was Palm Beach. And then we go back to Los Angeles, which is our base, and then Seattle, and then just heard we have a screening in Cannes, and then Toronto, and so lots of places.
Wow.
This is the end of a kind of a 6-year journey for you in this story. It's your first movie that you wrote and directed. So how did you get attracted to the story, and how did it become?
It's a long story, and I'm falling down the crack here, so I'll keep it very, very short.
I'll slide over if you need to get over a little bit.
So, no, I was a cinematographer for a long, long time. I shot Monster, I shot a lot of other movies, a lot of comedies, Half-Baked, Waterboy, the classics of cinema.
Oh, yes.
So, and my dear friend Clark Peterson was the producer on Monster, had always wanted me to direct, found some funding in Canada, and said if I could find a Canadian story that I thought worth telling, he thought he could find the money. So I rang an agent up there. He told me on the telephone Annie's story, sort of an outline.
Wow.
I thought it remarkable and compelling, and it went to a lot of my own preoccupations to do with faith, what sustains us in times of crisis, how we overcome seemingly insuperable obstacles. And I rang her up and I said, look, Annie, I love your story. There's some interest that I have of my own, to do with my own sister's story, to do with my friend's story. Would you mind if we take essentially your story and then add some things to it to address these bigger spiritual issues? And she, as she's been consistently through 6 years, was magnificent, said whatever gets the story told, I think it's important. And then began the very easy process of 6 years of raising money, getting the cast, and finally getting the film made.
Well, for those who haven't seen the movie, Anne, what is your story? It's really remarkable. I mean, I believe you survived cancer 3 times.
That's right.
And you were kind of had this inkling all along that somehow your cancer had a hereditary aspect to it, that you thought that it wasn't just what everyone was saying back in the 70s are the reasons for having cancer.
That's right. I watched as a young girl my mom pass away from what initially was breast cancer. And then she had an unknown primary that was in a heart valve, and I was only 13 when my mom died. And I had no way of saying goodbye. She just hit the floor and that was it. And then my sister, who really became my mom after my mom passed, she was diagnosed very early and actually died from ovarian cancer in 1978. So, and then it was a year and a half after that I discovered at 29 that I had breast cancer. So I just, as you said, I just knew that this couldn't be bad luck. And that the type of personality I am, I just had to try and find the reason why this was affecting my family.
Go ahead, let me just tell you this. Excuse me. First of all, I lost my mother to breast cancer as well.
Sorry to hear that.
And I can only imagine at 13, I was 21 when she passed. But I have felt this hole in my heart ever since.
That's right.
So what has that journey been like for you? Because you lost your mother, then your sister, and then another family member. How has that journey been for you since then?
Physically, I'm good now. I think the third cancer that I had, because I'm BRCA gene mutation positive, the third cancer I had wasn't really breast or ovarian driven, so they thought. And they called it an unknown primary, which was behind my liver. So that one kind of sent me in a tailspin. The nice thing about this, if there is such a word to do with cancer, is that every cancer I have been diagnosed with has been a body part that can be removed. So it's one of those things where they haven't said to me, go home and make out a will and live your life. So I've been fortunate that way. But through this film, what's been great is that I think I've been a voice for not only my mom and my sister, your mother, hundreds of thousands of women out there to get the BRCA gene mutation, people more aware about what's going on with their body, and they will have options my mom didn't have, my sister didn't have, and consequently I didn't have.
Right.
A little bit. That's where, Jonathan, you come in. You're a Dallas-based producer.
I am,
and
yeah.
where this story kind of picks up is you were saying, I mean, you were looking for funding and trying to make it made. I mean, what was your first reaction to the story, and what was it that made you want to get behind it?
Well, I think we all have, visceral reactions to the story because we all have people in our lives that have been affected by this. And this was my first feature film. I'd been in the entertainment industry a lot of years, mostly television. And so really was sort of feeling my way along, trying to figure this out. Fortunately, having veterans like Steven and Clark Peterson and the other producers around was great. And you just have to really step in and say, we really believe in the project. It's not exactly wasn't the most commercial of films, to say the least. Let's tell a story about breast cancer and finding a gene. Not many explosions, not many car crashes. So,
Intense lab scenes.
Really intense lab scenes. That was very challenging, but it was, it really was a team effort all through this process. And I learned so much on the project, and being based in Dallas, it really also gave me a connection to some of the financial world, which also helped. But I had the joy of being on set with Steven every day, really learning a lot about it. And now we're in, I guess in quotes, the fun part of this, where we're out launching it and really letting people see, the amazing work and tell the amazing story.
So let me ask you, how have people responded to this film?
Really, really well. And I'm not just saying that because I want people to see the film.
I guess that's a hard question to ask, but really.
Because the film isn't so much about cancer. It starts at cancer, absolutely. And it's about Mary Claire King, who found the gene. And
Played by Helen Hunt.
Played by Helen Hunt, absolutely. And Samantha Morton plays my beloved Annie here. But it's not just about cancer. It's about survival. It's about faith and hope and love, and ultimately a lot of it's about humor, because Annie is one of the funniest people I know, and maybe your character's even funnier than you are, or maybe you're funnier than she is. I don't know. It's either my writing or your personality, one or the other. But it's about how we find humor and irony in things, and how that sustains us, through really difficult times. So people have been enjoying the film, I think.
Which is a strong message today, because no matter what you're going through, that's the message, is that you got to find humor, you got to push through, you got to have faith and believe. So I love that, and I think that's a good message, and we're using cancer here as kind of the, the example, but I think anybody can relate to that, and we all need it.
Absolutely.
We're all struggling.
And it's about family. Cancer just doesn't affect the patient.
Yes.
It affects the caregivers. It affects the children. It's just a whole struggle of the family unit.
I think the other thing that really connected with me too was, you have very strong, positive female role models in the film, and two great characters that Steven and the other writers wrote. And to me, I think that's really important. There's a great science and math message, which is sort of underlying about, the struggle of Mary Claire King, trying to raise money for a film, but here she is trying to raise money for research, and how important those things can be. But to me, it really was the powerful women in the film that that really stirred my emotions.
Wow. So what does a film like this cost? Like, how much does it cost to make this type of film?
How much should it cost? How much should it cost? Or how much do we have to pay for it?
Now, is this emotional cost or financial cost?
All the
Emotionally or financially.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't have a budget for Spanx.
We did the film inexpensively, so it was for a few $1,000,000. For a cast like this, it should have cost a lot more. But the cast so believed in the subject and so wanted to do the film, they worked for far below their rate. So we were very privileged to get those sort of people to collaborate with us.
It is a fantastic cast, and deep, and then the humor is great. I mean,
Thank you very much.
It's a movie about cancer, but it's hilarious. It's a funny movie.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for being in Dallas, Texas.
Thanks for having us.
And thanks, Peter. You can see Decoding Annie Parker tonight at 7:30 at the Angelica in Dallas. If you miss it, then you can see it Thursday at 4:15, also at the Angelica.